Alright, here we go. Royal Challengers Bangalore still looking for their first title in 16 years. Actually, 15 years have.
This will be the 16th.
This will be the 16th year for them. Still looking for their first title, and what we are doing in this series, in the build up to this season's IPL, we are looking at the possible 11, the strongest possible 11 for each of those 10 franchisees. You've seen a few, and you'll see a few more.
Yes.
And right now, me and Shane, both of us, well, of course, we've got a bit of feedback from you people as well. So we'll just try to narrow down on what could possibly be their best 11 for this season.
Absolutely.
So, any thoughts?
I think their side too, say we were talking about Rajasthan earlier, we were discussing that, they look settled. I think even RCB aren't making too many changes. Their at least top order, the bowling seems fairly sorted.
Yeah.
You can pick a lot of their players' eyes closed. So again, obvious choices, top of the order, we have to be starting with a captain and former captain.
Exactly.
Faf du Plessis, Virat Kohli.
Yes, and one thing that we've noticed with RCB is at least in last couple of years, or in the last year, their bowling has done a bit better than what they usually have, what they usually do, especially with regards to their death bowling. They've done fairly well, especially with Vanindu Hasaranga coming in
Yes.
as a leg spinning all rounder. So, but to start with, captain
Faf du
Faf.
Plessis, obviously.
will be their captain, and
Opening bat, and Virat Kohli would be your second opener.
all right, Virat would be the former captain, will be your second opener,
Absolutely.
Virat Kohli, and I believe number 3 also, at least one player who's done well in that position for them. Although he hasn't played much for the franchisee, but he was a pretty valuable addition
Last year, yes.
Last year, and is already knocking on the doors of the Indian team.
Yes,
as well.
Rajat Patidar.
Rajat Patidar.
Yes, in fact, he got named in a couple of ODI squads. Obviously, hasn't made his debut yet, but definitely on the radar. And a key reason was, of course, the kind of form he's shown in T20 as last year. He hit that 100 in the eliminator
Yes.
against Lucknow Super Giants.
Exactly. And so what we are going to do, as you've already seen in the earlier videos, we are just going to pick the 11 and the impact players who could possibly, because the franchisees this time, the teams this time will have that advantage of coming up with 2 playing 11s, and they'll submit their 2 sheets, team sheets after the toss. So more or less, I think will depend on which way the toss goes,
Correct.
whether they are batting first or bowling first. We'll come to that also, but firstly, the strongest 11. See, the strongest 11 here could actually be a little different than what it would eventually be seen on the ground because of that impact player rule. We'll come to that, but number 4.
I think Maxwell would be an obvious choice. Glenn Maxwell gives you a bit of bowling also,
Yes.
especially early on in the power plays.
Yes.
Was pretty good for them last year.
Yeah, so you have a Maxwell also, and then I think number 4 or 5, I think 4 Maxwells would be fine over there. In fact, last season he didn't have a great
Back end.
exactly.
Early on, he was pretty good. Later on, kind of tapered off.
And I think number 5 would be an all-rounder in Shahbaz.
Yes, Shahbaz would be one. Number 6, of course, the finisher himself, DK.
DK.
He has to be part of that team.
Then the options. So
See, because their foreign players are pretty locked in.
yeah.
Wanindu and Hazelwood would be the first choices. Now comes the real conundrum of who do you play lower down?
So firstly, just to have a look at their batters: Faf du Plessis, Virat Kohli, Rajat Patidar, Maxwell, Shahbaz, and Dinesh Karthik.
Yes.
Now those who have not been picked here. One, of course, is Finn Allen.
Finn Allen, yes. If you're talking
Well,
about the
he could have opened for RCB, but they have their captain Faf du Plessis, and he's a proven match winner also. Of course, is going to lead the team as well. So he's there. Suyash Prabhu Desai is another name. Anuj Rawat got too many chances last season but couldn't
capitalize.
Exactly, he just wasn't there in the tournament last season at least. So I don't know if he can once again make a comeback, or the way he's been playing in the but domestic cricket also, he's not been playing too much of domestic cricket, and hasn't done too well also there.
Right.
Anyway, so Anuj Rawat also misses out, at least in our
he does,
11.
unfortunately.
Now we'll come to the all-rounders. Shahbaz, of course, is already there.
Wanindu would be another who has to be starting, I think. But I think you might have another batsman there.
Yes,
it's quite possible.
I'll come to that.
Yeah,
I'll come to that. I think that would possibly be...
Has to be an Indian. It can't be a foreigner.
Exactly. So...
Might just see Anuj Rawat sneak back in, unless they want to persist with Prabhu Desai.
I think I'll have another name here.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So, I am going with Mahipal Lomrod.
Yes, actually he did come in
towards the...
Yes, and did look good, Mahipal Lomrod.
And pretty decent all-rounder.
Yes, good spin option as well.
Exactly.
So Mahipal Lomrod, then number 8, yes, Wanindu.
Hasaranga.
Yes, that's where Hasaranga starts, and that's thereafter is where the pure bowling starts. So I think there also your choices are pretty sorted.
So now you have your bowlers. So see, right till your number 8, you have Hasaranga as your bowling option, you have Mahipal Lomrod as a bowling option, you have Shahbaz as a bowling option, you have Maxwell. So amongst these top 4, you have 4 bowling options. Now number 9, number 10 and 11.
Sorted. This is Harshal. Hazelwood would be there.
Harshal, of course, will start if all goes well.
Yes. Then Hazelwood.
Then you have
who, by the way, is no mug with the bat even in this format.
Then you have Hazelwood and
Siraj.
Mohammad Siraj, definitely.
That's your playing 11. At least your strongest 11 now.
So this is the strongest 11. I don't know what you guys feel. You might have a few other names to throw in here. But to me, this looks to be the most settled and strongest 11 for RCB.
And interestingly, not a single player who they've brought in this year actually features. This is more or less the starting 11 they had last year.
So basically the backups. I think the ones that they've picked this year, because with every season, now that you have 10 teams, the workload will also grow.
Yes.
And you need strong backups. You would remember we discussed about Rajasthan Royals. I thought the team was very settled and sorted. The only problem was the reserves. Do they have reserves or the player in the dugout who are exactly the same in terms of quality of the players? Now, if you look at this team,
the Indian players,
you have foreign bowlers. If I talk about Josh Hazelwood, of course, is already there. Then you have
Reece Topley. Then you have David Willey also as a bowling all-round option.
Exactly. You have a Reece Topley. You have a David Willey also there. So you have pretty decent names there. And these were the David Willey, of course, as you said, would be an all-round option there. And now the impact player, if I say.
I think that's the key here, because they seem to be suffering from a similar problem of RR, wherein you're looking at the bench strength and its potential players. Someone who makes an immediate impact doesn't really seem to stand out right now, at least to me. Because if you're looking at Indian players, see, if you want to play a foreign player, you'd be starting one less foreign player in your playing 11. Remember, that's the rule when it comes to the impact player being a foreign player. You can only start with 3 foreign players then. Otherwise, then who do you have who comes off the bench?
And obviously, IPL is one tournament where, one player who you don't know much about can suddenly have an exceptional season. But unfortunately, if you look at the reserves, the players who are there in the reserves, RCB doesn't have too many big names.
Correct.
So for example,
not for Indian players.
Exactly. For example, if you're bowling first, you're done with Siraj. You can replace Siraj with another batter. But what are your options as far as the Indians are concerned?
Suyash
Prabhu Desai. You have
maybe a Sonu Yadav if you want an all-rounder. But again,
Sonu Yadav.
That's it.
Yeah.
you can bring in a Manoj Bhandage, maybe, but again.
So that's what I'm saying, the pedigree of these Indian players. So that's where I think they might suffer. For example, there are other teams who may have a problem of plenty, but CSK, for example.
Yes.
CSK has, I think they are one franchisee who can actually say that, in the reserves also they have quality players.
Because Indian players are there who are sitting.
That's the problem that I think the RCB will face. That's one problem. As you said, I think they more or less they will go with an 11 that would look something similar to this.
Yes.
And then they can pick a top or impact players. Now impact players, Karan Sharma, the leg spinner.
Suyash Prabhudesai for batsmen.
Yeah.
Because again, he's done decently this year, and I think
Akashdeep also played a few games last year.
He did, yes.
Akashdeep
he also did
also
play
played a few games there in the last season. Siddharth Kaul, a veteran.
Veteran of the IPL, really.
He's played for India, he's played for
SRH, he's played for a lot of franchises.
Punjab,
yes, Punjab.
Hyderabad, so another veteran. Then Mohammad Siraj is already there. Harshal Patel definitely will start. Would be another key player for them.
Yeah, see, again, the Indian players are someone like, say, Rajan Kumar and Avinash Singh. You're again looking at pedigree or lack thereof.
Michael Bracewell is the latest inclusion in that RCB team.
Yeah, was there as a replacement for Will Jacks.
Yeah, so if Michael Bracewell has to play, then you'll have to remove one of the foreign players. Now, Faf definitely is a captain.
Okay. The only player you can drop is Maxwell, actually.
Maxwell is an overseas player.
So is Hasaranga and Hazelwood. So really,
Hasaranga definitely, I think, irrespective of his form,
will play
overseas. Yeah, so he will also play.
And same with Hazelwood.
Hazelwood, another overseas player.
Yes.
So what you can do is, I don't know about, or maybe you can actually have Michael Bracewell, because what we've seen of him, especially against India, lately. So it could actually be a good option for them to have a Bracewell, going by the kind of form that Maxwell had last year, because Maxwell is a player who can actually blow hot and cold.
Yeah.
If he is having a bad season, he will continue to have a bad season.
True.
If he is having a good season, he can still have a bad
Exactly.
season.
One match is all it takes.
Exactly. And you would remember that season where, for the first few games that happened in India, Maxwell was pretty bad. I think that season...
That was 21, if I'm not wrong.
And the moment they flew out to Dubai...
Second half of the season, he was a changed player.
Exactly. He was a completely different player. So I think Michael Bracewell is a very, very good inclusion in that team. And you never know. Maybe if they can just go in with the 3 overseas players.
Yeah, take the risk and say, okay, we'll bring in a foreign player as our sub. I think a lot of teams may do that, because that's the one way you can, keep options open.
Yeah, and as far as you already know that we are back to that home and away.
Yes. So different conditions, different strokes for different folks.
RCB usually, in Bangalore, the ball travels because of the altitude. So it's a good wicket. It's a high-scoring wicket. So you may have to play a few more bowlers. So few more, you may need a good bowler.
Yeah.
So I think in that case they may have to have a few more reinforcements in that bowling lineup. But not a bad team, at least on paper. That's been the case with RCB all
for
these
years.
Yeah. Even with the women's team, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Even with the Women's Premier League, the tournament, even on paper, their RCB team looked pretty
fantastic,
good. But this looks to be a very sorted, or at least this.
The playing 11 is sorted. Again, impact player, we still haven't figured out who quite goes there.
I think a team that actually cracks the code for impact player
could very well be the winner this year.
Yes,
absolutely. Because again, there's a lot of unknowns. Because again, it's one thing knowing the rules, another thing how it functions in real life. What's the best way to maximize your advantages, your gains from this rule? Whoever figures it out early has got movers advantage and could potentially be staring at champions.
Exactly.
Can RCB be that team though? We don't know yet.
And we've been just considering one aspect of that impact player. We're just saying, you if a team is batting first, you'll just get rid of one batsman and will get a bowler thereafter. I am saying, you just bat the opposition out of the contest. How, you just get one more batsman to play, and suddenly a score that you might just be able to score 180, you can actually extend it to 220.
10 to 20.
And by doing that, you may have batted the opposition out of the contest completely. Suddenly, if your score crosses 220, so that's one case. Especially again when you have a team like this, how many bowling options you have. You have Siraj, Hazelwood, Harshal Patel 3 here, Hasaranga 4, Maipal Lomrod 5, Shahbaz 6, Maxwell 7. So you have 7 bowling options here. So you just might want to
negate one.
Your batting on days when they. So I'm saying, we have been considering a situation that a batter comes in as an impact player only when, say, yesterday we were discussing that point, 50 for 7. I am saying I might be tempted to have an impact player, a batsman as an impact player when you think that you are going to score somewhere around 180.
Quite possible.
You might just extend it to 220.
Correct.
And by doing so, you may have pushed the opposition out of the...
Back them out. Then it doesn't matter if you don't have that one extra bowling option, because you have 5 or 6 and they'll get the job done. You have that buffer.
Exactly.
You can still defend those number of runs, and wins are wins.
Yeah. So this is RCB. Well, we did the other Royals yesterday. Rajasthan Royals.
And now the Royal Challengers Bangalore.
Now the Royal Challengers Bangalore. Rajasthan, of course, made it to the finals last year. RCB also
made it to the eliminator.
Knockouts.
Yes.
RCB also made it to the knockouts. Let's see if this can be.
If this is finally Isala Cup Namde.
Isala Cup Namde.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap the bell. Stay tuned to Sports Today for more such content. For now, bye bye.